Thank you, Nat. So, insecurity and development, where we started from, all started by saying they are strange bedfellows, because you cannot develop and have insecurity at the same time. You need to have a secure environment for development to thrive. So, and this development encompasses all sectors, from our economy, our health sector, our education sector, our IT, all it relates back or underpinned by a secure environment. So agriculture is one aspect of our economy. And for our agrarian state of Benue, it's the bedrock of our economy. So, and for that to thrive, it needs to happen in a secure environment. And this secure environment does not only mean a secure place to go and farm, it also means a secure environment that investors are willing to pour money into. It means a secure environment that traders are willing to travel far and wide to drive into and buy. See, once upon a time in Benue, traders would travel from all over the country and drive straight to the farms and buy goods directly from farmers right in their farms. That doesn't happen anymore because of insecurity, not for any other reason. So the people that manage to produce cannot even get the produce out, primarily because of insecurity. We have the challenge of infrastructure as well, no doubt. But somehow, as a people, we are focused people, we are driven people, we are hardworking people. So despite the infrastructural challenges, we still manage to get our produce out to the markets. But with insecurity now, it's not a no-go area. A couple of days ago, I was discussing with a very wealthy Benue indigene that managed to pull friends together, to pull resources together and build a community health center in his village for his people. And when the project was about to kick off, an attack happened. Someone, the marauders, as we know them, the terrorists and everything, came around, burnt down everywhere, killed people and left. And that was the death of that project. So the people that were supporting him and providing funds to help him provide this infrastructure for his people had to withdraw. Say, no, we can't go to this place now. We have to wait until it becomes secure. So what is going to happen is those resources will get diverted elsewhere. The one he has that he wanted to use for development will now go into treating people that were injured. So that is our project gone, probably never to see the light of the day again. And this links back to the agrarian economy of the place. So if we have our agrarian economy for it to function properly in the way and contribute meaningfully to our GDP as a state, it means we need to have all those resources close to the people, that all the facilities close to the people. You know, we need to have the clinics, we need to have hospitals, we need to have good roads, we need to have the good markets. We need to have transportation facilities. We need to have storage facilities. You know, we have strategic grain reserves around the state, but we do not have them in those areas where we need them the most. So all of these are being challenged by insecurity. So it's not just producing, it's also the process by goes from production to consumption. There's a complete collapse of that chain, primarily due to insecurity. So to address that challenge, we go back to the root cause. You know, the elephant in the room. What is causing this insecurity? You know, we have terrorists taking over our farmlands, using it to feed cattle, using it for all sorts. There are people coming in that we cannot identify, whether they're Nigerians or non-Nigerians, we cannot say. But to stop that, the government is doing their bit. The security agencies are doing their bit. But we need to take more bolder actions. We need to leverage the willingness of the government to support the eradication of insecurity by providing the necessary tools for our local people to support that objective so that we root out this terrorism issue. It needs to be intelligence driven so that we can cut it at the source and then we push our people back and secure them.
Right. As you speak on the agrarian economy, in the immediate that we are plagued by insecurity, what are the low-hanging fruits that we can pluck in terms of fostering our development despite whatever challenge we may be going through as a people?
So the current situation, despite its challenges, like Riley said, there are still people are able to produce. It speaks to our resilience as a people. You know, we are producing, even though we are not producing on the scale that we would normally produce or improving that scale, there's production still happening. But the sad thing is, most of this production, or a good portion of it, is still wasting in the farmlands. Because people risk their lives, go in there, produce, and then they can't go back in to harvest. So I think one low-hanging fruit, we need to create a system or a process, you know, that allows farmers, even under enhanced security, even if it's momentarily, we can work with our security agencies and say, okay, this section of farmers, their produce are ready for harvest. Enhance the security of the area for a period, get them in to harvest and provide storage facilities for them, for those that want to store. Those that wish to sell, provide access to markets for them to sell. You know, so I would encourage the government to do strategic purchase of the produce these people are producing at the moment, you know, to help them sustain that production. So the situation where we can't go to our farms and a few people manage to produce and the food is still left to rot in the farm because there is no security to access and harvest is just not acceptable. So the government should step in, provide enhanced security to harvest the little we can produce and purchase them for storage at prevailing market prices so that people do not get forced to sell below production costs just to survive. The government must make sure that whatever is being produced now, farmers are benefiting from their efforts by buying it at profitable prices for them.
Right. Now, Dr. Ogo, you like to chip in a word on what we can do to improve agricultural fortunes in the midst of the prevailing challenges?
Yes. I think it is a twin bridge. There should be long and short-term solutions to the prevailing agricultural disarticulation in the domestic economy. Agriculture is the mainstay of the domestic economy, and for good reasons, the first specialized University of Agriculture was cited in Benue State to cater for research, manpower development, and agrarian technologies for the 19 northern states. It is sad commentary that for close to 4 decades the university has not fully implemented its mandate for processing. Very sad commentary. It is also regrettable that Benue, with her advantage position and domestic advantages in agriculture, is still importing fertilizers, which is the key determinant of enhanced productivity in the plantations of the agri sector. Having said that, my co-discussant concentrated on the technicalities of managing the grassroots agrarian economy of food production. But I believe that there was once a peaceful state that prized herself in her inherent agrarian prosperity. Benue State used to have all her production lines then in the agrarian sector, especially during the Second Republic when the founding governor of Benue State, Governor Aku, reigned. For 4 years, Aku diversified the economic base in the agricultural sector and established very viable cottage industries. What has happened to that kind of visionary projections can only be attributed to the dislocations in succession. There has been a distorted succession between military interventions and the inability of civilian governors to agree between systemic coordination between predecessors and successors. Some of these programs were distorted and finally jettisoned. If not, Benue would have had a fantastic and a consolidated agrarian framework to deepen productivity in the economy. That's what the state needs as a long-term visionary projection. And ACU started it. Somewhere along the line, midway, we lost it. And our fortune started declining. It is also part of the reasons why the prevailing insecurity has germinated and fully grown into a full-blown episode. We have been managing insecurity in the last 2 decades, close to 2 decades. And that is not part of the viability of our inherent prosperity. We are supposed to be a very prosperous state, endowed with agrarian potentials, unsung viability in the solid minerals sector, the mining and whatever. The viability of this state that led to its creation indicated that in no sooner a time Benue will begin to function without any external intervention. But the short story is that we have been retarded, seriously. Retarded in terms of looming consumption, retarded in terms of the absence of productive capacities. As we speak today, Benue has no single production line. So why viability are you speculating? The whole thing is about rhetoric. Every government comes in, brings in rhetoric, but the actual sectors of production, especially in the agri-sector, are not functioning. Let's not deceive ourselves. So my co-discussant brought in very brilliant ideas about how government will intervene, but these are short-term measures. The holistic trend of insecurity now is threatening, is damaging, and it may also lead to a total collapse, systemic collapse, if adequate measures are not taken for full restoration. Let me land.
Right.
We need to fully restore normalcy in the state as it was, because all these glaring issues of instability and insecurity are just contemporary challenges. If we go back to the drawing boards, we once lived as a very united state, very peaceful state, very progressive state. What happened along the line? Benue had about 5 production lines that were in the agri sector. And that speaks volumes about our domestic heritage. So what has happened? Terakumis, year in, year out, there are rhetorics about revitalizing Terakumis. Sometimes they attribute it to the comatose nature of the infrastructure. Sometimes they say obsolete equipments. Most times they say energy instability. But most times it's lack of political will. And the infrastructure is collapsing. Look at the potential of Terakumis. Look at the story of ADC. Rhetorics, each year, each government comes in with rhetorics. ADC was a full-fledged production line. It would have been exporting to the other countries. Now, to factor in a huger GDP for us, what has happened to Beregbun farms? Apere Kuso, a species of local-driven cattle breeds, 40 years ago, when he created the Kyogen Cattle Ranch. That species would have been exportable now to generate even forex for the state. What has happened to it? 40 years later, we have been incessantly attacked by foreign mercenaries pretending to be House of Fulani Hillsmen. It is about occupational rates And like my co-discussant said, unless we go back to the drawing boards to identify the causative factor, what is inherent in our land that has attracted all these incessant attacks is what we have not taken time to understudy.
Right.
What are the foreign cartels targeting in our land that they have sponsored occupational rates? I want to go ahead to say that all these mercenary foreigners, you see them causing problem on the land here, they are not the issue. The issue is their sponsors.
Right. We'll interrogate that as we go along.
Yes.
Now, dear listener, if you are just tuning in, you are listening to Perspectives on iGate Radio 95.5 Star FM, Makurdi, Benue State. We are discussing the impact of insecurity on development. And at 10 o'clock, you, the listener, you have the opportunity to call in on the program to also lend your voice to the discussion. The number through which you can reach us is 0814-335-9292. The number, once again, is 0814-335-9292. In the meantime, the SMS line is already activated. You may utilize it to send in your contribution to the program. The number is 0912-699-9404. I take the SMS line once again, 0912-699-9404. Kindly remember to include your full name and where you're sending your message from. Let's remind you the program is also streaming live on our social media platforms. You may follow us there and also drop your comments on the links if they're related to the discussion. Definitely we take it as your contribution. Now, Engineer Tivato, before we engage with the listener shortly, in your opinion, in the midst of the challenges of insecurity, does Benue have the prospects of an industrialization agenda? And what do you think can be done differently to achieve an industrialization agenda for the state in key sectors?
Thank you once again. So my co-panelist has touched a lot on the industrialization agenda in his response a short time ago. So we need to go back to the drawing board and prepare a joined-up strategy that targets the critical sectors. We have quite a few sectors, quite a few products. We are naturally blessed, so to speak, in Benue, that a lot of produce thrive in our environment. However, we must identify those that have the highest returns. So we need to approach our agriculture and our economy as a whole from added value perspective. What adds the most value? And this added value is not simply about Naira and Kobo. What generates the most employment? Because we need to think about social value as well. So which sectors will generate the most employment? So when you say a produce gives you a return of, say, 1 million naira per day or 1 billion naira per month, with that 1 billion naira, what comes along with it? How many people is it employing? Now, how many added businesses or secondary businesses is it supporting? So we need to look at all of that, and then that would then give us a picture of which areas we should target our resources, because the resources are scarce, they are limited, and we will target everything, no doubt, but we need to follow a process and start with ones that will give us the biggest outcome. And those biggest outcome, in my opinion, are those that create employment for our people. So when we calculate returns from businesses as a government, we also need to look at the tax intake. We need to look at the social value we're adding. When you take people off the streets and keep them engaged, you're also partly solving the security challenges, because some of the people involved in the insecurity is also due to lack of employment. So when we say insecurity, we're not only talking about the terrorism going on in our villages, we're also talking about kidnapping, we're talking about armed robbery, we're talking about street violence, we're talking about antisocial behavior on the streets. So when we target our production in areas that not only give us returns in terms of monetary value, but also employs our youths, takes people off the streets, that would then be a win-win for us. We'll be using one bird to kill two stones, so to speak, because we are solving the security challenges at the same time as creating revenue for government. So from that perspective, I often argue that government has no business in being in business. However, government must enable businesses to thrive. So when we look at our agrarian investments that our late Aperiaku did, we can revive all of those strategically. See, what was relevant 40 years ago might not be relevant now. But I dare say that there's a lot of them that are still relevant. So we need to look at them and then start to invest targeted investments in these areas with a view to generating employment as a starting point. Because one of the key challenges in Benue is the high rate of unemployment of our youth. So we must invest in the sectors that generate employment. And it's not just primary employment in those industries, it is secondary employment. It is the shops that then formulate around these places. It is the women that then go into restaurant type businesses. It is the traders. It is the transportation sector that develops around these places. Houses start to develop. People start to build houses to rent to people that are coming to work there. So it has an explosive effect, a geometric rise once you invest in those areas that can generate employment, as opposed to just generating only monetary returns. So in my view, I think we should be focusing on such industries. And to do this, it is, the data does not lie. I often say that. See, when you sit back and analyze issues based on your opinion, very often you might get the answers right, but when you see the data, sometimes the data tells you something completely different. So you might be saying, for instance, that let's take Taraku Mills that my colleague mentioned. The Taraku Mills, it's very, very viable. We all know that. But when you look at the data, what is the data telling you in, say, investing in Taraku, for instance, or reviving ADC? We need to look at the numbers. The experts need to crunch the numbers and tell us which one will give us quicker returns in terms of employing people and allowing geometric growth in the economy in terms of added value from those places. Then we'll then target in those areas and then move on. But at the start, we will have a holistic approach from start to finish. Within this time frame, this is what we want to achieve. What are the low-hanging fruits? This is where my first response comes in. The low-hanging fruit, despite our challenges, what can we do now to reduce the suffering of our people? We target those. While we are helping them to survive now, we are also going down the route of the medium and long-term objectives and achieving them. But when we focus on medium and long-term objectives without solving immediate challenges, there will be no one to support us when we get to the end goal of the long-term objective. And that end goal of long-term objective is an environment where everyone thrives, environment where we have a shared prosperity. We are all in it together, we are all thriving. That is what we must aim to create for ourselves. But to do that, we must solve the suffering, the immediate suffering now must be reduced so that people can then focus. So we had this school feeding program during the immediate past APC government. That program was copied from other countries. And the thinking behind that program is children cannot learn with hunger in their stomach. So when they come to school hungry, they are unable to focus. And this thinking permeates across board everything that we do. As a human being, when you're hungry, or your brain, all you're thinking about is how to feel yourself. So we must solve the immediate pressing needs of the people so that they can now focus on planning for the future and support the programs of government to deliver that future that is prosperous for all of us.
Right. You have had an extensive career as an engineer, offering services and consultancies to top-notch agencies around the world. From the benefit of hindsight, what are some of the key sectors that you think are the top earners for economies of the world that Benue too maybe can key into in the midst of all the challenges we face?
So for Benue, we always go back to our agrarian economy. But so to move that forward and key into prosperity being enjoyed by other parts of the world, that agrarian economy must move from just production to processing and to finished products. So we need to start to put facilities and processes in place to allow that to happen. We must add value to our products. You see, when you buy an orange, for instance, you might buy an orange for 100 naira. When you squeeze that orange into a can and it becomes juice, it goes from 100 naira to 1,000 naira. So we must have systems in place that helps our people to add all this value, so that rather than get 100 naira, you're getting 1,000 naira. That's a starting point. But it needs infrastructure to enable that. So I think despite all the challenges going on, in addition to helping our people to survive immediately, we also need to be providing the infrastructure that as we solve the long-term challenges, the infrastructure is there to support our economic growth. Key infrastructure is transport infrastructure, access to markets, So we should have or be creating or be looking to create railway corridors between our key markets. We have a key market in the Sankara axis in Benue. What is the link between Sankara and the markets? Why do we not have a cargo, a rail link between, say, Zakibiam and Makudi? It's an achievable objective. You can run a railway corridor from Zakibiam through Boko to Makudi. As you are running this corridor, you are creating stations. Those stations become beehive of activities. So there's a multiplied effect. Not only are you creating a means of taking food out of the markets into where it is needed, you're also creating economic activities. You are bringing infrastructure development to those places. Because when you create stations, you must provide access roads to those stations. Staff must man those stations. And then there's that geometric effect that is being created. Buildings start to form around those places. The government starts to collect revenue on land that was previously idle. We start to collect ground rent. Businesses are operating there. They are paying all sorts of taxes and everything. It all feeds in. So whilst we are trying to solve the security challenges, we should also be providing infrastructure with a long-term objective that when we get to the promised land, there must be a way of bringing these things out. And when investors have access to a place, they will go there. And the meaning we say, when you look at the data, foreign direct investment last week was reported. Out of the 36 states of this federation, only 4 attracted foreign investment in the last 12 months. Why? The underlying factor is insecurity. Nobody will put their money where they think it's not going to, nothing will come out of it. It's a bit like pouring water in a bucket with holes underneath. It's just going to keep going down. That is what happens when you pour money into an insecure environment. So as we tackle the security challenges, provide infrastructure while we're doing that, then foreign investment will follow. People will naturally look for where to put money in areas that they can get returns. So we must position ourselves to be that area where investment can come in and get returns.
Right. We are due to engage with the listeners shortly. Already we are due, but I will allow you, Dr. Ugo, to chip in a word on attracting foreign direct investment. For us here in Benue, what are the key areas that you look at?
Well, centrally, the factor that will fully determine and manifest the prosperity of the state is the leadership of the state.
You talked about political will.
That is
what you were referring to.
Political will is all embedded in the leadership,
right?
In the capacity of the leadership. We have been shortchanged several times by poor visionary leadership, and that speaks volumes about what we have and what we have not discovered, the content and character of what we have. We keep on dishing out rhetorics, but what we have not really discovered what we have. First and foremost, to create a domestic economy that is prosperous, we must tinker with the idea of an independent power plant, which is very, very possible in this state, given the natural resources and the tendencies that we have here. We have one of the most critical river sources of the country, River Benue, that stretches north and eastward. We have arable lands to also create air dams we have a central coordinating office for Lower Benue River Basin. So the state has great potentials to generate electricity and even sell it out. And that has been the fundamental crisis in economic transformation, the absence of a very stable energy source. So I think the vision that Aku had connected generations, like even if you see his infrastructure, the state secretariat he built, he had a Benue of the next 100 years in mind. I believe if he had done his second term, he would have probably thought or done something about electrifying the state, giving it a stable source of energy. And that's very critical. If you are discussing development and you leave out the issue of energy, you would not start it. So fundamentally, Benue must do something about that. Secondly, Benue has experienced the unfortunate calamity of sustained capital flight, resource flight from here to elsewhere. Benue, in the history of this country and its evolution, Benue accounts for the largest endowments in natural resources: gas, mining, timber, cement.
That's the limestone.
Limestone.
Right.
You see, when the inappropriate privatization of Benue Cement occurred sometime in 2001 or 2, when Dangote acquired shares, majority shares, we expected a more profound approach by the state government. Profound in the sense that they would have gone ahead to build a sister factory in Batiao like Adasu started, because the potentials were underlying right from Boko to the extreme axis of Bue local government. The feasibility study is still within the ministry. I'm giving you an insight about how underdevelopment has thrived and all this menace of insecurity and unemployment that we make allude to it. These are the major causes. That didn't happen. The cement factory, the sister cement factory was not created. The attendant factor became siphoning our domestic limestone here to go and build and consolidate cement factories elsewhere. I don't need to expatiate, but you too know that limestone, at some point, the factory where the entire limestone is domiciled in Chekujadia was closed down, while excavating of the natural resources and the limestone and its exploitation to somewhere else continued unabated. The story is still the same. So we have suffered injurious resource capital flight. It's a serious challenge. The leadership of this state should try to address all these things.
Right.
Then finally,
yes,
currently, there is a resource flight in the area of solid minerals, and everybody is speculating. Much of the insecurity you see here is tied to the fact that cartels coming elsewhere are exploiting the political economy of solid mineral deposits in Benue. In areas like Kwande and Logo, there is huge illegal mining activities going on. So these are some of the sources of insecurity. So unless the leadership exercises the political will to engineer like a 10-year or 15-year development plan that will address holistically the potential and the capacity to transform those deposit domestic resources. So this is the challenge that I'm giving to the leadership.
Right.
Yes.
We'll take a short break, and once we are back, we'll start engaging with you. Kindly stay with us. Welcome back from that short break, dear listener, and thank you for staying with us. If you are just joining us, you are listening to Perspectives on iGate Radio 95.5 Star FM, Makodi, Benue State. We're discussing the impact of insecurity on development, and you can phone in on the program using the number 0814-335-9292. Once you connect with us, tell us your full name and where you're calling from, then make your submission. Kindly keep it very brief. The SMS line through which you can also participate on the program is 0912-699-9404. Good morning and welcome to Perspectives.
Yeah, good morning.
Joining us.
Yes, my name is Godwin Zagaya. I'm calling from New GRA here in Makodi.
You join us, Godwin Zagaya.
Yeah. The issue of insecurity in Nigeria and in Benue State, the same way your guests in the house are saying, it's not proactive. You see, the issue of insecurity in Nigeria or in the state have caused a lot of setbacks. People are being displaced. People are being moved from one place to another. Nobody has his own particular place or village to stay. The same way your guests in the house, they are saying. What they are saying is true. It has caused damage to the education. It has caused damage to the health sector. It has caused damage to all over the places. And we don't know how to fix this security. Yesterday we were saying something. Security now, if you are a tough government official in the society, you will have security. One government official will have 10 security. One will have 5, 10, 12. What about the masses? Look at what happened in Daud last time, where they kill a lot of people. They have to displace those people, bring them to international markets here. And last week again, they brought soldiers there to protect those people. They then still come back. Those people still come back to come and kill other 2 or 3 people again in that same place. Our security in Nigeria now is election, campaign after election. It's when those people come to cause havoc in those places before you see those security men will go there. And even though when they are there, they are causing this havoc, you will not see them go there to retaliate, to push those people go back. So we don't know what is happening in our security sector. Is it that they are not trained well or how? We don't know what is happening. The government should please help us. If not, people are dying every day. And we have security. They are recruiting this security. They are recruiting army. They are recruiting police. They are recruiting air force. They are recruiting navy. They are recruiting civil defense. But we are being displaced day and night. Look at what happened at Jatoka. People went to church to praise God. They killed them. So wow, that means that nobody will go to school again or how? The way our security situation is going now. Maybe tomorrow you will see that every school is closed down because there is no security. Churches will close down the same thing. Hospital will close down the same thing. So our government should stand and do something concerning this security. They say security.
Thank you very much, Godwin.
But our government should try and do something. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thanks for calling in on the program. Godwin is worried that insecurity is going on and affecting almost every sector, stagnating development, according to Hello, good morning. Now, thank you for joining us on Perspectives.
Good morning, Sam, Mr. Nathaniel, and your guests in the house. I'm Brother Emeka calling from Welfare Portal.
Emeka, welcome.
So they have been listening to the conversation. Well, this is not the first time we have been hosting it, and we appreciate that, because this is something very, very vital for any development of any nation. But the point I want to contribute is that the way we are going about, the security agents are going about fighting this current day menace of insecurity, to me, from what I see in other countries, it's not the way it's done now in a modern society. There is a very tiny country that I love so much, and that tiny country is Israel. You are hearing me?
Go on, Emeka, we're listening to you.
So that tiny country, the name is Israel. This is a very tiny country of 8 million people, surrounded by 500 million hostile people who are ready to butcher them. and dump them in the sea at any moment in time. But for the past almost 80 years, this tiny nation has stood their ground. How were they able to do it? They have special forces for every occasion. They have forces that can fight in the mountains. They have forces that are trained to rescue hostages. They have, so this is special security approach. Specialized forces that are supposed to be used for these herdsmen, kidnappers, or whatever security problem we're having. They don't use general infantry for this. They are not trained for that. They may not be trained to fight in some difficult terrains. But if you have special forces that are trained to handle these people that come in from time to time, know how to track their coming in and going out, I think that will go a long way in reducing mitigating and taking these people head on.
Right. Thank you very much, Emeka.
That bothers me.
We appreciate you. I'm sorry, you have made your submission. Please, if you call, kindly be brief so we can have the opportunity of allowing other contributors to the program as well. Hello, good morning, and thank you for joining us on Perspective.
Hello, good morning, Sadat.
Welcome to Perspectives.
Yes, I greet the girls in the studio. My name is Jonah Benjamin. I'm calling from Nakagwa, West Local Government.
Hey, Jonah Benjamin, thank you. How is Naka this morning?
So we thank God. Yesterday, government provided us the rescue material for the RDP camps. Thank God for that.
Okay, Jonah, go ahead.
Yes, my worry about the security, what is going on in Nigeria, is about some IDP camps in Nigeria, in particular in Benue State here. Talking of those people that are watered, I heard that recently they have cried that government is not taking care of them. Government should return them back to their ancestral home. So I'm wondering that if they return them back without settling about the security, I think what happened to them will still happen again. So I'm advising them that those are the victims, that they should be patient. Government is working for them so that they will return them and they will stay there peacefully. And lastly, what I want to say is that the time when government provides in something like cash money, I think some youth in the IDP camp, they are trying to snap people money on their hands. So it's not good for that. It's a cause of insecurity causing those things. So I think government should clear those IDPs people, those displaced people, their accounts, so that if they want to give them money, they will send through their accounts so that they will not have the problem again. Thank you. All
right. Thank you very much, Jonah Benjamin. Thanks for calling. Jonah wants interventions to get to the IDPs. Hello, good morning.
Oh, good morning, Nathaniel Nongo.
For joining us, sir.
Good morning, Ediko discussant here in the house.
Thank you. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Increase Dema. I'm calling you from Makodi, precisely.
Go on, Dema.
Well, insecurity has leveled the society. Just like I woke up this morning, I was reading one of the dailies in Katsina State that the community are going to cough out 15 million to relieve issues is unhealthy of a country like ours. Well, they said security is no one-man business. The government, they are trying, but I still plead on them to redouble the effort. And then let me narrow down to our community, more especially in Benue State. I want to appeal to the youth, because if there are a lot of security breaches in the community, for them to form as a vanguard to checkmate these infiltrators, because I tend to wonder how can these people come to invade the community and you go scot-free without nobody, even in the community, to say, who are these people? Because before this will come to strike, they must hang somewhere. So what I'm saying in essence is that the youth at least should be vigilant enough to checkmate some of these communities, our communities, to at least to report promptly to the security agent, because most of the times the information cannot get to the security agent in time. So there are two things. Let them checkmate even those of them that infiltrate to perpetrate all this crime in the communities.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Increase Dema. We appreciate you for calling in. Anyway, beyond the lamentations, let's also speak to the issues of development as it affects the insecurity affects development areas that you think there should be an improvement. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Chief Nathaniel Ongo, this is Mr. Osman Ungu. I'm calling from Makodi More Market.
Osman, thank you for joining us.
Yes. Security has gone, it's not like those days where the police or the ministry carry gun and moving around. This time it's intelligence gadgets. I remember one of Nigerians who was a young guy from Anambra State. He says he can provide a drone that the Nigerian military will use, and if they use it, this insecurity will not last more than 6 months. I think that young man is still alive. The second one is I remember time of Taribu West, former Super Eagles player. He said that he told the NFA that even though you be able to have a best squad in Nigeria, but if you don't play the politics, you cannot win the cup. You have to play the politics very well before you be able to win the cup. So if we want to win this security, we have the traditional rulers, we have other head of other crowns that we can meet, and they know where all these things are coming from. I think by then. Because the type of billions we spend billions every year, and the insecurity continues to increase. Let government look another way how they are going to achieve this in this country, not to buy arms and ammunition and nothing happening. So thank you so much. I get to you.
Thank you, Osponungu. We appreciate you. Our panelists here have also harped on intelligence driven. 0.43359292. Let's hear from you the development challenges that needs to be addressed even in the midst of insecurity we are facing. Good morning and welcome to Perspective. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Jeremiah. I'm from Bajimba.
Jeremiah, could you speak up?
I'm hearing you. Good morning to you. My regards to the...
Jeremiah, go on. We are listening to you now. How is Bajimba?
Well, fine. Insecurity in Nigeria needs to be tackled because it causes a lot of underdevelopment in our country, Nigeria, today. As I'm talking to you, last year, 2023, I wrote JAM and I wanted to go to university. Hopefully, I was targeting that. This time I will be a university student. But with that, we couldn't harvest our farm produce due to insecurity that prevailed in our community that time. I'm still out. So I'm calling on government to put in measures that will eradicate this insecurity in our country, Nigeria, for development to thrive. Because in a country that insecurity is the topic of the day, development cannot continue. So I'm calling on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to do something quickly to return the IDPs to their ancestral homes to continue with their farm so that the education and everything will be put in place. Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you, Jeremiah. So we appreciate you for calling in. Okay, government should do more to return people. Good morning and welcome to Perspective.
Hello, good morning.
You kindly move away from your radio set.
Yeah, I'm already away. This is Sir Benjamin Egege from Yagba, North Bank, Makodi.
Thank you, Egege.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a very good topic that we really need to make our inputs. The insecurity in Nigeria is causing so much problem. Wherever there is no security, there will be no development. I am only urging the government to be more proactive. For instance, recently when President Tinubu came here, they gave a marching order that wherever the bandits or herdsmen or whoever or whatever they attacked, we are available, they should be bombed. And I think when they went into the bush and did that twice, they ran away. So I wanted to continue to sustain that. But when they withdrew, and all of them came back again and started killing people. So if government sits put and do not make any effort, it's like we are still going to have it very difficult. It is only when they give orders, because the big men are involved and are the ones that have these cowards and have all these things. Why are they not attacked? They're not attacked at all. They're only attacking the poor men, going from house to disturb people. So government should do something about it. Even though much money is pumped into it, they're only trying to deceive us, telling us that they are doing something. They should be more proactive. Otherwise, there will be no development. No schools will exist, no social activities, nothing at all. So thank you very much.
Benjamin Igege, we appreciate you for calling in. There will be social dislocation if your security thrives. Benjamin Igege says so. Thank you for your opinion. Good morning and welcome to Perspective.
Good morning, sir. Yes, I'm Igbana Daniel.
Daniel, where are you reaching us from?
From Judge's quarters. Hello.
Now we're listening to you. Go ahead and speak to us.
Okay. I want to appreciate you guys. And one thing is as if the government is not happy. Because most of the bad boys were arrested February. At the end of the day, they tell you they repented Boko Haram and whatsoever. They pardoned them and they go back. And there's a particular tribe in this country that claims to be above the law. So I think we should look into such. To call them by their names, that you are the one responsible for this and that, I think that should be better.
Thank you very much, Igbana Daniel.
You're welcome, my friend.
Thank you for your contribution. Nobody should be above the law in the country. The law is supreme. 08143359292. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Perspectives.
Good morning, Mr. Nat and all the guests in the studio.
Good morning.
This is the voice of Adu Batlomin from Bachohan here in Gwe West Local Government.
Go ahead, Batlomi.
Thank you. I want to thank you and the guests for giving your position on this issue of insecurity we are talking about. You know, it seems as if the people of Gwe West are the people receiving the negative aspect when it comes to issue of insecurity. One painful aspect of it is that the more security personnel are deployed in Gwe West Local Government, the more we are killed and our farmland are being finished by these herdsmen. My appeal to the government is
that... But Lomi, don't you think that is too sweeping when you say the more security personnel?
Yes, because initially I am saying this based on what is happening to us. And we are just praying that now that they've announced that the command have been fixed here, we have a command here in Gwe West Local Government. We are praying that succor should come so that our people will go back to their ancestral home. I am saying this because a hectare of land, one cultivates 3 hectares close to a military base. The herdsmen raised the graze on it and finished it up. When this farmer complained, he went to this place and complained, and they were asking questions like, which type of gun were these herdsmen holding? What is the fate of a common farmer? We are suffering. We are now foreigners in our own land. So we pray that revelation should occur. God should open our leaders' eyes. On our part, we played our own role. Right. It is now left for them.
We're not calling for a revolution now, but if our leaders should play their part, like you mentioned, I think that
exactly. They should play their own part positively on the side of the military personnel. The security personnel. Let them checkmate their activities.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Batlomi. We appreciate you for calling in. Thanks for your position. Anyway, we understand how you feel, but try to moderate your submissions to align with our discussion. Hello, good morning, and welcome to Perspective.
Good morning.
Morning.
And this is Kwaza Vincent coming from North Macaulay.
Go ahead and speak to us, Kwaza.
Yes,
Kwaza, the network at your end seems a bit unstable. Could you move so that we'll see if there will be an improvement?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
So speak on.
Yes, for development to be effective in any place, there must be security of lives and properties of human beings in that area. The security are not living up to expectations. When the last time it happens in Yerwata here, the president came here and gave a marching order that the IGP should arrest those perpetrators. I heard it that a number of them were arrested. But up till now, what have they done about it? Have they released the people? Have they identified their sponsors? We don't know. But information reaching us was that they were arrested. And what have they done with them? Up till now, we have not heard anything. And the attack has been going on right now in Yerwata there. So they should live up to their expectation. We expect them to do more. They are not trying. Because let me put it, they are not trying. If they have been trying, now the issue of insecurity would have reduced to the barest minimum. So they should sit up. That is my take.
Thank you, Kwaza Vincent. Do more. I think do more should be the bottom line there. If you say they're not trying, it may be a bit sweeping. Hello, good morning. Hello. Hello, good morning. Oh, quite unfortunate you are on, but your voice is not coming through to the studio. I'm afraid we may disconnect with you, but we're still here. We are willing to engage with you. Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
For joining us.
Hello?
Let's know your name and where you're calling from.
Okay, my name is Barrister Tewase Alashi. I'm calling from International Market Side, Macaulay.
Thank you, Alashi. Go ahead and speak to us.
Okay. This insecurity has started for a long time. People have planned it for quite a long time. They executed it, and most of the parts of this country were not aware of this plan. So they are only following up with a little solutions to it, which does not really make a very serious impact on the negative impact of the security itself. I have studied this security situation for quite a long time, and I've realized that there was a part of mafia in about 2 or 3 decades that decided that, look, Nasarawa State should be used. Nasarawa State ordinarily is not a state for Fulanis. We know from history that Nasarawa State was inhabited by Igbo and some other small tribes. There was a calculated plan, 1, for the creation of Nasarawa State itself, and 2, to bring in people who were not originally from Nasarawa State to come and inhabit Nasarawa State. And this is a long-term plan so that one day they will be used against the Benue Valley. What matters to this mafia is the Benue Valley that matters to them. So it is a calculated attempt for over decades to ensure that structures are put in place so that when this plan wants to be hashed, it will be difficult to resist it.
So how do we overcome this and still guarantee development? You have stated your position on that already. Now, tell us how we get to overcome this challenge and still foster development.
With due respect, it is going to be a very difficult thing because, 1, you didn't allow me to finish, but I want to tell you that.
Allow you to finish because we do not have the time to take all the long submissions.
Very good. The structure, the security structure of this country is involved. This plan I'm talking about was hashed, and not just for the settlement in Nasarawa State, also in the security structure. So it's going to be very difficult it has to take a leader who has a political will to actually come up clearly and tackle this problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dewase Alashi, for your submission. Thank you for. Now, let's take some messages before we come back, and we'll begin from our live stream feed here on social media. HMB Emmanuel says, interesting program. Thank you, HMB. Emmanuel Bematse says he's watching us from Abuja, Nigeria. Thank you, Bem, for following us. And, of course, Genge Paul Tehemba says he's watching from Olam in Bayasi, Gwe local government. Thank you for joining us. Cholomonaye says he's watching us from Adipo, London. Thank you. And of course, Nyeka Justice, please, we need a topic to be writing. Okay, we are discussing the impact of insecurity on governance. That's the topic, Cholomon. Nyeka Justice. Jigba Donatus is also watching us. Thank you, Jigba, for joining us. Now, some messages we have streaming in on the phone here. Good morning, Mr. Nongo and the guests in the studio. I am Bro Emeka Oji from Welfare Quarters, Makudi. To checkmate the rising insecurity, there is need for the citizens to be allowed to bear arms and form a local first responder to any attack. Specialized forces for different security infractions should be developed and deployed. Investigations should be launched to determine if there are actors benefiting from the prolonged insecurity. Thank you. All right, Emeka Oji, thank you for your submission. This one says, inability of the government to permanently plant security agents on problems, angles, and equip them well is the major problem. They are only sent to those areas with extremely weak and insufficient equipment for defense. Insecurity hinders both external and home investors from investing in the country and also discourages farming. Ukuma Benjamin Aondakura from Gadi Layout. Ukuma, thank you. Good morning, contributors. Insecurity and development is a pace. It causes disorder in the society. The government should tackle the condition to keep Benris and food baskets safe. Isaac Utsua from Achihat, Sejime Ngoma local government. Isaac, thank you for your message. Some of the messages we have coming in so far. Good morning. Welcome to the program.
Yes, Emeka Anyo from North Bank. First and foremost, I will commend the security agents. They are doing enough. But then, much is needed from them. Taking, for example, what is happening today in this country, like what my brother has said, it's just a calculated attempt. I think the federal government, like what the president is doing, and the governor of Benue State is doing, they have to mobilize more security within the state. Because this is a full basket of nation. And if people are being destabilized from farming, then we will not have enough food in Benue State and Nigeria at large. So I am of the opinion the recruitment aspect of it should be a mix-up. And where you see the other people coming in, you should checkmate them very well, because within the security agents, there are agents of those terrorists inside. And a lot of things should be done to scrutinize them and know where they are lacking. Because if you look at today, as you talk about security, it is not one-man show. It is for everybody. But I do believe if we want to fish out the bad ones, we can still do them. And if we want to fish out those who link up with the terrorists, we can still do them. And this is within the high rank of the security. And political will must come in. And that is why I'm calling on every Nigerian. If you are Igbo man, you join soldier.
Thank you. Thank you, Emeka. We appreciate it. Your submission is made already. Of course, every Nigerian, you do not need to call if you're an Igbo man. Every Nigerian is a citizen, first of all, before any other consideration. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. My name is Ojo Onwaha. I'm calling from High Level.
Welcome, Ojo.
See, what the guest was trying to expatiate on was, if you don't find out the beginning and the plan behind every activity, it's difficult to tackle. See, the issue on ground is a calculated attempt by certain groups to take over this Benue Valley. And the same people are in charge of the security apparatus of this country. You cannot fight what you have established. So that is why it seems it has been difficult for the security outfit to overrun these insurgencies or insecurity situation. They are behind it. So let us be honest to ourselves. Until the structure itself is realigned, that everybody should realize that this issue is coming from somewhere. We can be beating about the bush and fighting the wind until we know that it's a calculated arrangement to take over Benue Valley. Until we know that, we'll never have solution to it. Because there are the same people at the helm of our state. So they cannot find this thing that they have arranged. So that's my own submission. Thank you.
Thank you, Ojo Noha. We appreciate you. All right. Quite varied opinions. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Hello.
Come to Perspectives.
Good morning.
Let's know your name and where you're calling from, please.
My name is President from Nobody.
Sorry, the network seems to be very unstable with at your end. Can you say your name again?
My name is President.
I'm afraid we may have to disconnect with you because the network seems not to improve and you are really not coming quite good to the studio. So please, if you may, we're still available. We can engage with you. Good morning.
Oh, good morning, my brother in the studio.
For joining us, sir.
Yeah, good morning to the guest. My name is Mr. Emmanuel Abba from Yellowwater.
Abba, thank you. How is Yellowwater this morning?
Oh, bless God, we have seen the day.
Go ahead, speak to us, Emmanuel.
Thank you. Well, I made bold to say that I am a security personnel that is drafted to Yellowwater as it here to give security coverage to the residents of Yellowwater. Now, the major problem on ground is that the security personnel that are usually posted to areas to, of course, give security protection to the area does not have the capacity. When I mean what I mean by capacity is the equipment. What will aid you to perform your duty in this 21st century is not available. You cannot just carry your arm because the best you can be provided for is just the arm. Then you enter the bush to chase after somebody that maybe have a higher caliber of arm than you with just a material that you wear on your body as a uniform without any bulletproof helmet nor bulletproof jacket that can shield any stray bullet that may hit you. Now, aside that, how do you provide security for the farmer for every farmer that will go to the farm to cultivate his or her farmland? How do you do that? It's not that the villagers farm in a group or farm in a place that, okay, let us go to the farm. After you guided them, they farm, they came back. And after the farming, the Fulani marauders will come and destroy it in their absence. How do you provide security in this kind of situation? My point exactly is that we need strategic policies that can ensure that the Fulani herdsmen do not carry their arms indiscriminately. Carry their cattle and herds indiscriminately in the environment, but moving through farmland, thereby not coming in contact with the farmers. As far as that is not handled, no any security will be good enough to solve this problem that we are having. Thank you and good morning.
Alaba, thank you very much for calling in. Of course, we commend your patriotic zeal for the state and the nation, and we pray that as you have stated what the challenges of those of you on the front line is, the authorities should be able to address that. Thank you so much for your passionate contribution to the program, sir. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Your perspectives.
Good day. How are you?
Thank you. You are our last caller, and we give you just a minute to speak to us. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Solomon, calling from North Bank.
Oh, tell us your full name, Solomon.
Yeah, my own take on this topic is to make security tight in this country. We also put our hands together and bear our brother's papers so that everything will work well in this country. If you see something, we will come something. And not waiting for the government to react before we try for the issue.
Thank you very much, Solomon. We appreciate you. If you see something, you say something. Thanks for calling in. That will be the last call we'll take on the program today because our time is no longer there. But a few more messages we have. This is in our WhatsApp box. This one says, your discussants are doing a great job. Please, can we have their names again? They deserve awards. All right, I will get the awards to them. Nat, that's apart from your own award as a superb host and anchor, Dr. Sam Abba from Bohemini in Benue State. Thank you very much, Dr. Abba, for your message. We appreciate your kind words about our discussions and what we do here at Agate Radio. Thank you, sir. This one says, this is Ado Bartolome. Ado Bartolome, I think you called in earlier. This is a message on our live stream feed. He says he's watching from Bachohon Council Ward of Gwe West Local Government. This topic of discussion is so paramount, and it's a collective effort that we shall overcome all these security challenges that submerge our people. I want to plead with the youth to give the security personnel posted in their localities maximum cooperation. All right, thank you, Ado Bartolome, for your message. Okwande Okoho Ombaketsa Cholomon is also watching us from Adipo, London. Thank you very much, Okwande Ombaketsa, for following us. Now, Engineer Totivato, we have listened to many of the callers. The general submission is they are disillusioned about the state of insecurity in Nigeria. But one striking submission is the gentleman who called from Yelwata and identified himself as a security personnel. You listen to him about what those of them in the front line are facing. Benue has got a law banning open grazing of livestock, but we still have this persisting. What other approach do we take to address this issue once and for all, in your opinion?
Thank you, Nat. So I must first of all commend the caller for not only the courage to call into this program, but his patriotism in choosing to serve our country. His patriotism and courage in choosing to go or accepting to be deployed to the front line to protect us in the midst of all of these challenges. We know that the first line of fire when the terrorists and the attackers come is our security men and women out there. So I must commend our caller for his service to the country and for taking time out to call us and give us first-hand experience of what is going on the front line. So this speaks to the approach we are advocating, that we cannot sit in the comfort of our homes and offices and decide what happens out there in our communities. We must speak to the people that are on the ground, that understand, that face these challenges. So his contribution here, he's mentioned two key things. Before he mentioned the issue of open grazing, he mentioned the equipment of our security forces.
Yes.
He mentioned the arms they are giving compared to the arms of the terrorists. He mentioned bulletproof vests. He mentioned helmets. It's quite disheartening to hear that we are sending people out there to fight without basic equipment like bulletproof vests and helmets. It should not happen at all. We should not be endangering our well-trained personnel in that manner. So that is something that I think is a low-hanging fruit that the government can deal with immediately. We should find the appropriate equipment for our personnel out there protecting us. Now, on the issue of open grazing, when you enact a law or a policy, you need to test that law and see how far it goes. And then you address every law or every policy or anything you start doing. You're going to pick up teething problems as you go, and then you learn about those problems and fix them. So it appears that, or from what I can see, the open grazing law that was passed by the last administration started to have some effect. It had its loopholes, no doubt. So as we were learning those loopholes and trying to cover those loopholes, the administration or governance changed hands in Benue State, and the current administration does not seem very keen in implementing that law. And that has allowed an opening and has taken us backwards. So in my view, I feel that we should carry on enforcing that law and learning about the loopholes and closing them as we go. And then another thing I think we need to do, so I don't think it's enough to ban open grazing. See, when you ban open grazing, it's the right thing to do. But we need to teach people how to ranch. You know, we've been saying ranching, and to be honest, there are some people that do not understand what is meant by ranching, even though you and I understand it. So in my view, I think we should have pilot ranches that we will use as test cases, and people can see how it is done and learn from it. So when we teach our people how to ranch, we will no longer have a need of looking for livestock outside of Benue to buy. So we should establish pilot ranches in all the senatorial districts with all the necessary facilities, free veterinary health care for the cattle, and as we establish these pilot ranches, we use them as training facilities to teach our people how to ranch. From there, it then starts to grow and evolve, and then we allow incentives. You know, things like feeding. Because people say, okay, how the cost of buying feeds for cattle is far more expensive than we think. Agreed. But that is where the government steps in. We can step in and subsidize this cost for a period, 5 years, 10 years, 2 years, whatever that is. What we look at what the data is telling us. We subsidize this until it gets well embedded, and then we move away. We start to remove the subsidies. But all over the world, agriculture is subsidized. Otherwise, it will be too expensive. So we need to make sure that in addition to implementing the anti-open grazing law, we are also teaching people how to ranch so that they understand that the alternative is viable. We're not just telling them, stop carrying cattle around. You can home your cattle in a ranch and be more prosperous at doing so. So let us find ways of teaching the people to do this.
Right. Dr. Ugo, also we do not have so much time on our hands anyway, but I'll allow you to react to some of the submissions made by the callers. And of course, that particular person who told us the challenges they face in the front line. And incidentally, he's calling from an epicenter of these attacks, Yelwater, that has been a flashpoint lately. Comment on that,
well,
briefly.
The expression by the security personnel on ground speaks to the challenges, the service challenges they have had and have also encountered in the process of their intervention. And that also adds to the issue of insecurity. If the personnel are complaining, and if they are not properly catered for, and if they are not properly remunerated, and if they are not even properly equipped, their efforts will not galvanize any positive outcome. Because at the end of the day, there is a large room for sabotage. There is complicity on their part, like it's being, the other caller was even complaining that the more presence of the security personnel is compounding the problem of insecurity. That means most of these security men are, apart from the structure being understaffed, I think they have been properly mismanaged. And that is very dangerous. Now, that brings in the issue of priority allocation. Nigeria as an allocation economy has not taken the issue of budget implementation very seriously. Sometimes if you hear the amount of money that is allocated to the defense sector of the budget, you feel that if there was proper accountability in terms of implementing such budgets, much of the security problems would have been mitigated by way of channeling these resources. Today, look at the amount of money that comes in from federation account to the federating units, the states and the local governments. And still, the security personnel are still crying of insufficient logistics. So it may be a way of governmental failure to address some of these issues that is also adding up to the security challenges.
Right.
So I want to say that the security personnel who spoke out of experience made a very strong case. Government should step up implementing the welfare of those on the field in terms of their allowances, in terms of the gadgets they use. And in fact, advanced technologies are very, very effective now. They are effective weapons that are channeled in global wars. So there is sophistication even in technology. There is no need carrying obsolete equipments because the people who are using, the terrorists who are using more sophisticated arms are also being funded.
Right. Okay, let's stop at that because our time is no longer there. We're totally out of time. But one last message here, which says, I like Engineer too. His presentation was wonderful. These are the brains Benue needs for now. Please come and save our destiny. Mark Igbo from Nakaro. Somebody is liking it to calling on him to come save. Anyway, the intention is just a discussion. Let me allow you, Engineer, to give your closing thoughts in just 30 seconds. We do not have time. We're totally out of time now.
Now, I want to thank all the callers, especially that contributed to the program. We need to step back from our aloofness to the governance of our country and all seek to make a contribution. So it is really, really important that government understands the challenges people face firsthand from the people facing it. So my closing thoughts are that I will encourage the citizenry to contribute their quota to governance, especially to programs like this where there is opportunity to say how they really feel about government policies.
Right. Now, Dr. Ogo, your closing thoughts in 10 seconds, please.
I would like to encourage systemic succession in governance as a strategy. That is to close the gap between predecessors and successors. Governmental policies should be sustained beyond the tenure of particular governors. That this state can do better even in terms of security if there is a 10-15 years deliberate development plan that can outlive two governors. Right. Because governance is about continuation. Thank you very much.
And that brings us to the end of today's edition of Perspectives with our focus on the impact of insecurity on development. I appreciate very sincerely our panelists on the program, a highly accomplished chartered civil and structural engineer who is based in the United Kingdom, a concerned citizen of Benue State, Engineer Peter Tewaseto Tiv Ato joined us on the program. We appreciate very sincerely for your valuable insights, Engineer Ato.
Thank you for having me.
Dr. Ben Ogo is a scholar at the Joseph Sawantaka University, Makurdi Public Affairs commentator and a concerned son of Benue. Thank you very much, Dr. Ogo.
Thank you very much.
My name is Nathaniel Nambo. Have yourself a great weekend and join us next week Monday for a fresh edition of Perspectives. Good morning.